VPN at technophilespodcast.com. I'm David Geisler, and this is the Technophiles Podcast. All right, everybody.
I'm ready.
Welcome to tonight's show. Vee Laabs is ready. I'm here with Vee Laabs and Krista-Lee Malone. Gals, we are in part 3 of our episode 281. We've already talked a little bit about Volvo self-driving cars. We talked a little bit about Oculus Rift going on sale in part 2. And here in part 3, Krista-Lee, we're back from the break, and what are we talking about?
We are talking about indium tin oxide and that which will replace it.
Can you say that again?
Excuse me?
Indium
Yeah.
tin oxide.
Love it.
Right. So in English, what that actually means is the stuff that they use to make touchscreens.
Okay.
Because it has to be electrically conducive, right? You can't just put glass
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like when you touch it, it completes a circuit, right?
Correct.
Is that how it
I think so.
I think so.
In the olden days,
thought of?
it was like thermal, but I don't think it is anymore. I
God,
think
I
it's the
hate
electric
those.
conductive thing.
Yeah. The thermal ones sucked. I hated those.
Right, actually, and that's why you can buy the gloves with the special tip for
Yes,
the winter.
that's
Right.
right. I gotta
Right.
do that to my thumbs.
Right, so
Do that to your thumbs.
Well, my new gloves that I got for Christmas are really warm, but they have covered thumbs, so I
I
you
have a
can't
really good
play.
pair of
Yeah.
gloves right now that are like super thick. They're not just the knit, but
Yeah.
they do have the tips on them that you can touch with.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
I just
It's
need
a
to
little
buy, like,
weird
this
because
much.
the gloves are so big and thick that they stick out a good half an inch from your actual
Sure,
finger.
yeah.
So you're almost like, it's like how like ladies in the 80s would use calculators. You're kind of using like a fingernail. You're not really
Right.
pushing with your finger.
yeah.
And that's really important to what we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah.
So, Krista-Lee.
Right. Okay. Well, so basically, with what this story is that I found is this indium tin oxide. I'm trying to find the number real quick here. There it is. So this stuff costs $750 per kilogram.
Whoa.
And because of that,
That's more than an Oculus Rift.
that is more than an Oculus Rift. So this one material, which in reality we're talking about a thin film on your screen, right? I mean, this is such a small component. It takes up about 40% of the cost of making a smartphone.
Get
Wow.
out.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I had no idea.
some scientists, I think it's like a group of scientists and an engineer, Engel, Herbert, and Zhang, who have come up with a couple of possible replacements. And they were playing around with a couple of different things. It looks like they are liking strontium vanadate.
You can say it wrong. It's okay.
All right. No, I'm
I
looking
don't
for
think
the
there's
other
a
one.
ton of chemists out there who are gonna kick
Right.
your butt for it.
So that one and then calcium vanadate are two things that they're playing with.
Sure.
But now I'm looking for the price again here. I had this stuff written down. Right. So if they work with this vanadium, I feel
Love
so
it.
bad. So by working with this material and using it, it costs $25
Oh,
a
for
kilogram.
For a kilogram
okay.
instead of 750, right? Is that what you said earlier?
Yes.
costs
So
as
that
much
would
as a
make
game for the
a
Oculus Rift.
huge difference.
Sorry. So what kind of qualities are they looking for? Is it just kind of like
Does it work in a different way, or is it just a cheaper version, same technology?
Right now, what they're looking for is a cheaper version of the same technology, basically.
Yeah.
It has to conduct electricity. What they're looking for is that the electrons will move in a liquid-like fashion through the material. And
Yeah.
apparently this is necessary in order for the current touchscreen to work.
Makes
Now,
sense.
one of the big problems is actually not the conductivity, but it's to make something like that then is also transparent.
oh
So like
Yeah.
that's the big
That's
problem, right?
right.
Because you can't, right? You like when you look at the back of your phone, you're
Yeah.
not seeing anything. That seems to be the big problem they were running into.
Oh.
Now, because of this, Now, right now, we're talking about people in a lab making this material, right? This has not been put into consumer products as of right now.
Right.
But they're also looking at how this could then be used to make solar cells cheaper as well. Because, again, you have the transparency issue where if you have the solar cell, the energy needs to be able to come through material and to get into the cell. And because the materials they are working with are so much cheaper, we could be looking at cheaper solar cells, cheaper cell phones, cheaper iPads. I mean, everything that you use with a touch screen or with this type of solar cell could be made a lot cheaper.
Wow. Well, why aren't they doing that already? Or is it just because they've just figured this out?
They just figured this out. So like this guy just figured out making.
Oh boy,
they're still
cutting edge.
They're still in the holy crap you guys phase.
Look what we did.
Right, because they not that people haven't been looking for other materials, but it's always been either it's not conducting enough electricity or it's not transparent or they've run into these problems. You have to have that.
Was this just a find or was it an invention? Did they have to mix things together and create it, do you know? Or was it they were just like, holy crap, you guys, look what we found?
They're mixing. They were trying to look for this. This was not accidental. People have been working on this for a while. And they're just lost my train of thought. There's one more.
I interrupted you. I apologize.
That I was going to say about this. That's okay.
How do they test it? Do they just have like a phone with a screen in their lab that they're like, all right, put this on there and then we'll poke at it a bunch and see if it works? Does it say how they test it? They must have just like had like electrodes hooked up to it or something, and you just they poked it until it.
Maybe you can test it for conductivity, and then you start testing it for how far it travels and stuff.
Maybe it was like a kid's first electrical circuit where they have like a bulb and then like big wires and then and then the wires are like on either side of the glass and you put your finger there or something.
So I had to teach kids some of those circuits about a few weeks ago at my job, and I was teaching them simple circuits, and we were doing basically connecting to a light bulb, using a D battery to a light bulb and a fan and stuff like that. And a couple of the kids got really excited. They really thought they were figuring it out. And they essentially created a short. Oh. And I heard, Mr. Geisler, why are my cords getting hot? And I was like, no. They were just, that electricity was just like, I was like, don't touch it. And it wasn't that big a deal, but I was like,
teachable moment.
They made a little short. But I heard it from across the room. Why are my wires getting hot? Okay, you guys are doing great.
Time for more science.
So they don't say exactly what they were doing. It doesn't look like. I'm sure they probably didn't put it on a phone because think about it. You have a $600 cell phone. Yeah. You don't want to test it, right?
It's got like a whole bucket of phones.
No, so I checked. I actually checked in like 2 different places, and the only thing I could get out of that is that they made a very thin film and then started testing, basically passing electricity through it to see how this was going to work, and that's what they did. There was also when you light it, and they didn't specify if this was like above or below or whatever, but they said that probably from below, right? Because when you turn on your phone, the light comes from underneath.
Up. Yeah,
sure.
Right? Because apparently sometimes with certain materials that will affect the transparency.
Really? Yeah, I guess the angle and stuff. Yeah.
So they've been testing that as in addition to the electricity.
Probably like the proximity too, like because the light's like right under there.
Sure, and we're talking about metals. You got to make sure it doesn't get freaking hot.
Yeah,
right. We were just talking about wires getting hot.
Mr. Geisler, why is my lithium-atoms getting hot?
Why is my phone burning my ear? Yeah. That's actually not funny. That phones. Remember back in the day, that used to be a problem.
Most of the time, phones get hot right now because of the battery, not really anything else.
Right, but still, it's the phone getting hot. It's a problem.
Don't add to that.
Sometimes it's the processor staring to heat up a little bit, but that's not so. I don't think that's so much of a problem. I think it's the battery mostly, isn't it?
I used to have some.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is some of the circuits.
Possibly, but I think most of the like really bad cases have been batteries, and it's been the same thing because it's a similar. What is it? Not the lithium ion. I think it was the one before the lithium ion that they put in laptops, and people's pants would catch on
Yeah.
fire. Remember that back in the
Oh
day?
my
I do.
God. I had an Apple MacBook Pro that
Would get really hot.
would get really hot. You could fry an egg on it.
Yeah, once they figured out that whole like new fan thing a couple years ago, that helped a
Yeah.
lot.
They're
But
like-
before that, those things would get really warm.
I've burned 2 computers, but in the defense of my computers, I was probably because I was pushing them to game way more than they should have.
See,
That happens to Dawn from Branching Dialogue. She has a laptop that she'll game on, and well, she has 2 laptops. One that's actually for gaming, and then sometimes she'll just be on the other one, and it's like 15 minutes in, she's like, "Oh, I gotta stop,"
Yeah.
because it'll get so hot.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen smoke come up from the back of my computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a thing I've witnessed now twice.
What?
When I used Photoshop on my MacBook Pro, I once had the power brick that like is attached to the cord that goes into the wall. I've had that pop and smoke. That was
Fun
great.
times.
I ran so fast out of that room. I was like, if I breathe this, I will die.
Oh, that's not a bad. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I just stood outside of my room like, hope I didn't start a fire. I'm gonna get a wet towel and put it on top of that.
Wow.
Yeah, I started a motherboard on fire in my laptop playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah. That's intense.
I mean, I
That's
pushed.
crazy.
Of course, I had to have all the graphics and
All
everything
on
up,
high.
all on
Yeah.
high, because I don't do anything second best. I'm like,
No,
"Ah."
go all the way.
Yes, and then smoke came up, and then I told my guild that I had to stop raiding.
So they seem pretty confident, though. They say here at the end of one of your articles that you found that they see no reason why this can't replace the expensive one.
Yeah, it looks really good.
awesome.
Things seem to be working. The other good thing about it is this material is more common. So this research was not based just on let's make it cheaper for the consumer. It was also let's not run out of this stuff that we are using up.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. That's you probably, affects the price, the value,
Yeah.
of course,
Right,
obviously.
right. But I mean,
true.
they kind of
Are they
think
like-
about how many new cell phones you get though.
Yeah.
I feel like if they were not coming up with an alternative, we were gonna straight up probably run out.
Just run out of that.
Well, Amazon says we're not even going to have cell phones in like 5 years, but that's a conversation for another
No.
time.
That is, and I disagree, but good for
yeah.
Amazon.
Thinking forward, but
Yeah, I
the
know.
one-
It might be the reverse of like Google saying driving cars in 8 years.
yeah.
So I'm sure I'm sure the scientists weren't thinking about this, since I did have 2 very like heavily science articles, but from the consumer perspective, I don't know if you caught this, but in the first episode when you mentioned what are we going to talk about in the third, and I said, well, maybe the cost is going to go down.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, just because the cost of manufacturing goes down doesn't mean that the company actually lowers the price for the consumer.
Oh no.
Right.
No.
But they can,
They can.
They could.
and they might a little.
Maybe.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, once
Or
people.
maybe it'll even
Pass the
out.
savings on to themselves.
Yeah, or maybe it'll even out because other technology that would cost more, maybe instead of
maybe-
it going down, they will put an Oculus in your phone and you will take your calls.
Yeah,
like
all of a sudden
this.
they can like beef
Yeah.
up the
And it'll-
accelerometers or
Processors
something.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Bigger
could see that.
battery and stuff.
That's interesting. Well, this is cool. Is there like a specific website you want to? I think one of them you got on IFL Science here. I saw.
Yeah.
I did, and the other one.
If people want to check into this a little bit more and try to figure out how to actually pronounce these things.
Right, and the other is phys.org, which I also follow. They do a lot of physics, technology, space
Oh, of course.
stuff.
Of course, that's cool. I thought you were doing like FIZZ.org, and I was like, that seems weird.
No,
physics.
I say phys.org because I'm assuming it's supposed to be short for physics.
Well, of course, absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely. So if anybody knows how to say these chemicals and they want to tweet Krista-Lee about them, where can they do that,
You
Krista-Lee?
can give me a phonetic tweet at GamerAnthro.
Not bad. I would think I'd flat out appreciate that.
I would. That'd be great.
In fact, send it to Technophiles even at Technophiles Pod. We don't
wanna
mind.
see it, yeah.
Hey, look what we found. We don't know how to say it. Do you? Hey guys, we found this thing. Krista or V, if people want to tweet you about general going-ons in the world, they can do that where?
Yo, just tweet me your existential thoughts at bear_Annika.
_Annika. Love it. Again, we love it when people tweet the show at Technophiles Pod. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher. You can find us on Facebook by searching Technophiles. And it's been a while since I've done these outros. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, gotta get back
You're
into
down
it.
for 1 month. You're on season break for 1
Stretch
month.
those
and,
muscles
Yeah.
again, yeah.
I'm almost forgetting all the things. I'm gonna start writing it down. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't matter anymore because we're pretty much done with the show. And now I'm just
Rambling.
Word hosing. I'm like a fire hose, but with words on it. Just spraying those words all over the place. It's gonna just keep happening. So, this was a lot of fun. It was fun getting back together. It was great to see you guys, and I'll see you next week when we talk. Well, we'll talk about who knows what. I'm not sure yet. It'll be very exciting. Love it. We start the newscast next week too. I'm very excited about that.
Oh boy.
What's going on there, Krista-Lee? She's like,
That
just
was a
finish
face.
this episode.
End it.
And tell people where they can tweet you.
Where's the valve?
Oh, yes, thank you. See, that's how off I am. Thank
That's
you
all
so
I was
much.
waiting for it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
If people want to tweet me about their thoughts of the universe and cell phones going up and down in price, they can do that at Twitter, on Twitter, at Raptor Paint. Have a good week, everyone. Jeez, rocky ending there.
it's okay.
Hoy, yoy, yoy.
Holy.